So good evening guys and welcome to P0 this fine Sunday evening. Happy Easter to everyone around. It is round 10 this evening and we head to France. Driver standings in P0. Rob Wills leads the way in the championship, but Matty made some gains. He's up to P2 now. We've got Matoman in P3, Shiv P4, Mika P5, Skarma P6, Dixie P7, Leon P8, Mick P9, Laverick 10, Pedro P11, Keith 12, Yeri 13, Speechy 14, Jock 15, Brown Dog 16, Roddle 17, Alvin Evans 18, Dale P19 and Metcalf P20. Constructor standings, we have the Ferrari boys leading the way. Apologies there, people. We have McLaren in P2, Williams in P3, Alfa Romeo P4, Mercedes 5, Alpha Tauri P6, Red Bull P7, Alpine P8, Aston P9 and Haas in P10. And right off the rip we come to a quite damp and dingy qualifying at France. Now what the race is going to be, who knows. Let me get the screen share up though guys, I will be with you in just a little second. Make sure that's turned down. So Mick, Jock, Skarma, evening Mr. Cameron's dead, and welcome Pedro for his first full-time race. Yeah, my missus just came flying in there, Rob. Apologies. Yes, Pedro's first race is a full-time driver. He joins Mika Lando in Alpha Tauri, and he showed some good competitiveness early on, did Pedro, so we'll maybe see him make some damage. Good evening Cameron's dad, or don't know what your name is. I'm going to say Jim. You sound like a Jim. Not heard you speak, but I'm going to sound like you sound like a Jim. So guys are going to get filled up this evening. I think you'll see a lot of them go for a lap, then have a cool down lap. It's not so easy at France to go for two big hits because there's a lot of straight lines. So you do burn through the energy quite a bit. So it'll be a case of get one lap in, find your feet, have a cool down lap and then go again. Then we'll probably see guys come into the pits, put on a fresh set of boots and go again for the same. You are a Jim? No way! That is... Adam says, evening dad. I hope you're saying that to Cameron's dad and not me, Adam. I do not want you to call me dad. Fair Jim, I respect it. So who is the lead man on track at the moment? It's an Alpha Tauri. I think it might be Mika Lando. Yes it is. So Mika the lead man, and then I think it's Mick not far behind in the Red Bull. Let's see exactly what kind of lap time we will get for France. It'll be interesting to see. So here we go, Chris barreling down now to turn 1. We'll go on board as we follow him for a lap. Now through the kink of 5. Now careful on the power as you come through the long 6 and then through the kink of what is turn 7, then up the straight, then up to turn 8. A fourth to third gear corner, fourth at turn 8, then third gear down at the apex at turn 9. Whether you'll see guys maybe go for a higher gear, you see Chris down to fourth, then you'll take a downshift, third gear, and then get back on the power nice and smooth as you head up to turn 10, absolutely flat out. It should be in the intermediate tyres as well, about 300 kilometres an hour. They'll be maybe not so quite in the fast, probably more like 280 kph. and then down into the long turn 11. It's a long corner. Fifth gear tends to be the best, the way you pick up the throttle, but in the rain, you see the fourth gear, just too much power. It wanted to force Mika wide. He gets away with the track invalidational. Then into turn 12. And then 13, it's hard leaving that corner on F1 cars, you don't even notice it. And then the last two corners, 14 and 15. And 15 being the slowest corner, it's about an 80 kph corner, 45 miles an hour. Down in third gear, then nice and easy on the power. Up towards the line. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 40s for Mika here. Oh, he just creeps over, so 41.8 so far for Mika, but Mick is straight in there with 41.6, and we'll just jump to a driver. Who have we got? Let's see if we can get somebody coming out of the last corner. Yes, we do. We go on board with the man who was leading the championships. He heads down towards the line, and he now does, we've seen him be very good in the wet, and it's a 40.9 for Mataman. He puts 7 tenths on the board to the next man straight away. Dale Sunter having a little bit of an excursion off track. Where have we got Jock coming out the last corner, and he has a big moment on the power. Had to get out of that one. You love F... Yeah, I'm a bit the same, Jim. I think that's why I'm quite happy to sit and do commentary, because it's one part of the game I'm very good at, because you've always seen from watching on Wednesday night, I can show tons of pace. I've had some good races with your boy, but I always put it in the wall at some point. I'm just too old now, mate, I can't do it. Once you get to the 30s, it's just downhill. So Leon slots, or I think that was Shiv actually, it was. Shiv slots into P7. Matty though, that's one we missed. Matty, the man on some good form, a 40.7 in the wet conditions. That's interesting. Matty did say he was on a run of tracks coming up that he was feeling very good about. See how Rodders is getting on in the Haas. Could be hoping to emulate his good performance from his teammate last week. And I think it was one of Haas's best finishes of the season last weekend. So Rodder's coming up towards the line. He's a little bit off the pace. I think he's had a little bit of a moment in his lap. I just pretend to be passionate. Well, that's a lie. Because I do get excited, even in the game. Like, good racing is good racing, right? Any wheel-to-wheel racing is exciting, in my opinion. In a game or not, I know all these guys are controlling the car, so it can be very entertaining. So Leon 3 tenths up sector 1. We'll stay with the Mercedes man. So he heads up the back, straight up towards 8 and 9. He's got his teammate a little bit ahead as well, so maybe get a little bit of a distance tow here from Skarma, although I think Skarma's just a little bit too far away to get any sort of gains. I wonder if Skarma may actually win a lap. He slotted into P4. Rob Wills got the Ferrari into P3 as well on a 41.1. And it's hard to judge just where every driver is. We've got McLaren coming around the last corner. That's Keith. He is on a representative lap as well. Keith's been on a good little run as well. He's been shown he can be right in the battles as well. So he's going to slot in P9, gets himself inside the top 10. A 42.5. But where will we? Let's go back to Leon. He's still holding that 3.5 tenths. I know, Jim. I tell you, see, when I was like a young lad, when I first started watching F1, like 10, 11 years old, I'd have killed to have kind of online gaming like this and really get at it for a young age. Because even in games, games are so close to reality now that it's just such an advantage. And was that Rodders? I think who was that? Somebody improved to the top 10 there. I think it might have been Dixie, 41.7. I've kind of got myself a bit lost there, watching or talking with thing. Dale's Hunter coming to the line, talking with Jim. He goes to P14, 43.1. How is Pedro getting on? First time as a full-time driver, and he picks up an invalidation in his first hot lap. It's not the strongest way to start. So we've got Mick coming through turn 11. So 8.5 minutes to go, almost at the halfway point of the short qualifying session. Mick going into the box. So we'll go to Rob Wills, our championship leader, and we'll just stay with the man at the top for the rest of the track. Again, you see he heads up the back straight towards turn 8. Down to 4th gear, 80 miles an hour, then get the car down to about 55 miles an hour, and Rob opting for the 4th gear exit as Shiv fires through there, reaching the track limits just a little bit. You're right, Jim, the world is broken. At least this gives us some sort of sanity. And somebody had a bit of a moment there. I think that is Rodders, just at the start of sector 1. But Rob continuing his gain on his lap time, chooses for the nice later apex at turn 14 and tucks it up nicely to 15, clips the apex beautifully there, using all the road in the exit, gets a nice application of pit as well, puts the car towards the line. Has he found any time? He is not. A couple of tenths down in the end in the last sector, some time lost. Laverick going round in AI, and he's just, oh, and he gets out the way there. Jock was on an invalidated lap anyway. Dixie showing the medium compound tyre, so I'll be getting track coming in. Where do we have Rodders? Way down in his time. How's Laverick getting on? He's also invalidated, and DRS now being enabled, so the track is coming to the drivers. We'll start to see the dry compound tyres get bolted onto the cars, and the lap times are about to come down pretty dramatically, and the track's not looking exactly dry yet. There's definitely still some standing water by the looks of it, but maybe that's just the nature of the track. There's definitely no spray anymore. Let's stay with Rob. He's just in an outlap. I'll be able to tell with DRS being enabled. It probably is the biggest indication that the dry tyres are now in. So some guys getting out on that medium compound tyre. You see Chubby Slug there working them hard. Medium is not going to be an easy tyre to get switched on in these conditions either. You're going to find the guys on the softs at the moment have a massive advantage. That tyre delta that you usually see being anywhere between kind of half a second to a second is going to disappear. It's going to be much larger than that, because the soft tyres just get switched on in much cooler temperatures much easier. So you'll always be quite tentative on the medium. Although we'll probably get to the end of the session and somebody will put it on pole on the medium and just make me look like an idiot. But you see there straight away, Matoman on an outlap, rear of the car, through turn 11, just getting very, very light, and that's not pushing, no ERS. So you think of how light the car's going to feel once you're on a full push mode. Could not be the best, but Dixie's one of the first men out on the mediums. So Dixie invalidates his lap. So let's watch Chubby Slug. We'll see the gains that he gets through the first couple of corners. Sector 1's split comes up just round 2 corners from now, in between these next two. So we'll see just how much lap time is starting to come. 1.5 seconds, so I think we're going to see somebody come through that soft sector much quicker than 1.5 up, and you see there the cold track temperature, the medium tyres just not working. Although soft tyres not looking the most stable either. So who's going to be the lead man in the softs to get on a lap? This really interests me. I want to watch. I think it's going to be our championship leader. It is going to be... No, it is not. Dixie's coming around the last couple of corners. Is he going to the pits? Yes, he is. So Dixie goes to the pits. Who's that? Is it Jock out behind him? Yes, it is. So let's watch Jock on the soft compound tyre. This is when we'll get an indication. As long as he gets turn 1 and 2 right, we'll see just how quick he's going to be. But I think the soft tyre will yield much more than the medium, as Jock has a big moment through the middle of the sector. So we see he has a big moment. How much time gain in sector 1 will he get? If it's more than 1.5, I think that shows that the soft tyre is just where you want to be at the moment. And it's 1.8, so even with Jock having that big moment through 1, he's still more than Matoman was up in his time with a pretty clean sector on the medium. So there proves my point that the soft tyre is just the tyre to be on. When the track's just coming in, you do that interchange from dry to wet, wet to dry conditions. It's you just need that softer compound. It just gives you so much more grip. And he's now 4.5 seconds up. It's Jock. I think Matt will come under pressure here. He needs to, and he'll be lucky here, Matoman, to get. Where is he? I don't think Matoman will get round again and get on to a soft compound tyre. So Matoman is forced now onto the medium compound tyre. So let's see Rob Wills, championship leader, 2.5 seconds up sector 1. Matoman could be in big trouble here. And this is interesting because Matoman's session's over. He either needs to go for another lap on the medium compound tyre, or he needs to just accept that it's over, and he's going to be in traffic as well, and Matoman's going into the pits. He will take no further part. So Jock did go into pole, Yeri now onto P2, and you see the soft tyres just so much faster. Leon Evans on to P3, and it's going to be latest in the session now. Whoever's last on track, whoever opens the lap latest in the lobby is going to have the biggest advantage. Jock found another 7.5 tenths through sector 1. So just like that, we've gone to the last 60 seconds of the session, and the qualifying has ramped up massively. Big changes ahead. Where's Matty, the back-to-back winner? Oh, so it's over for Matty. He's P8 at best. Where is Mick going to go? Mick now on a pole position at 32.4. But I think there'll be more changes in this because Jock is 1.1 seconds up in the middle sector. He's absolutely flying. Rob Wills now does a 31.1. He finds 1.5 seconds. So Jock needs a clean last sector. Who else do we have on track? He's on an invalidated lap. Shiv is lighting up the first sector as well. So we'll stay on board. Chubby Slug is retired from the session, so it's no more for him. And I think Dixie is our last man to open a lap, so Dixie's going to get the optimum track conditions. Can he capitalise on that? Let's see Shiv though as he heads up towards sector 2. And now somebody else improved there. Who was that? Was that Michelando managing to get the medium tyre? He did. He somehow got that medium tyre up to P4 in a 32.6. And Chubby Slug is falling way down the order now. It's a big mistake for Matoman getting out in that medium compound tyre. He needed good points today. And the checker flag falls. So Yeri Rodders is P4, 5 at the moment. It falls for Leon Evans as well. We've got Keith now coming to the line. Can he improve any on his soft compound tyre? Can he challenge the front row even here? He goes to P6. I thought he was a little quicker than that. Where is Shiv? Shiv coming up to the line now. Where does Shiv go? How much time has he found in the conditions? He goes on to pole. It's a 31 flat for Shiv. And Shiv now on to pole position. Mick though out the last corner. Can Mick now dislodge Shiv? and I think it's going to be whoever gets the best of the sessions. And no, only P5 for Mick on the soft compound tyre. How is Dixie getting on? He's coming through turns 13 right now. He has nobody ahead, so Dixie's going to be the last man to set a lap time. Nice and steady through 14. Does he tuck it up nicely to the apex at 15? Yes, he does. Gets the exit. Why are these guys all going to the right of the track? Stay left. Why are you driving a further distance to the line? And Dixie only improves to P10. Not enough in the soft run. Mika Lando was over, and I think that is the end of qualifying. It is all over. Shiv on pole. So, Shiv on pole, Rob Wills P2, Jock 3, Skarma 4, Mick 5, Pedro 6, Leon Evans P7, Yeri P8, Rodders 9, Keith 10, Dixie P11, and Mika P12, Laverick P13, Dale P14, Chubby Slug fell all the way to 15. That medium call early on was the wrong call. Matty 16, and Brown Dog P17. What an ending to the session. Well done, Shiv. He squeezes Rob Wills out by the smallest of margin, 1/100th of a second, splitting the top two. Jock though in there, Jock in a very good bit of form recently, only a tenth and a half behind. Skarma's going to be in to watch, just 2 tenths down. He'd get that medium compound run in very late there, I think. Gets only 2 tenths away, so Skarma's got to feel like he's got some good pace to go do some damage. Oh, Jock, no, so you got over in time for another run, but then backed out at thinking that you didn't get the lap time. That is unfortunate. Still, though, very, very positive qualifying, sir. You're improving very well, Jock. Keep it up. I know sometimes races and you fall back, but it's got to start somewhere. Yeah, I agree, Cameron. Looking at that, a couple of tenths, Cameron's dad, sorry, Jim. Couple of tenths down on the medium compound. It's about 6 tenths delta here. So going by that lap, he should have set a 29 there, which would have been rather impressive. Oh, Jock, I feel you. So I agree with Cameron's dad. I think it's an advantage Skarma. I always like to start the medium tyre, but I do a lot of prep work on the mediums. Well, I don't know why I do any prep work, because I just go and crash in the race, but I'm a strong qualifier if I can get the lap. That's about the only thing I've got going for me, and I've managed to, on a Wednesday night, get the mediums inside the top 5, and if you can start inside the top 5 in that medium compound tyre, it is a very, very strong strategy. You just got to focus on not getting caught up in a fight. Maintain the energy, knowing that these soft tyres are going to box at some point and you're going to have a lot of track time. You hold your energy back, you stay in the DRS train, you go at the pace of the leaders. Once they go in, they've been using energy to defend from each other. You've got a full tank of ERS, you can push on for a couple of laps and open a gap. With the track being a bit dull looking though, has Skarma made the right call? Because we've seen from qualifying, when a cool track, the medium trials can be a little bit tricky. So good evening everybody, guys. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up on the video. It means the world to us. And we're up to 115 subscribers. We're growing slowly and steadily. And I think these guys deserve it. I know there's bigger leagues out there, and there's better leagues, better run leagues, and better people in leagues, but We try and come for good fun and not too much serious competitions. I think P0 kind of is the same way. The guys seem to run it in the similar kind of style. Like, yes, we want to have good competitive racing, but ultimately at the end of the day, we're just here to have a bit of fun, especially in the older group. I know P0 has a lot of older guys in it, and we're just here to enjoy it. So the timer falls on the session, the guys will get set for the formation lap. And I think it's 25 laps. Might even be less than that. France. Oh, tell a lie, it's 27. So there you go. It's all about the passion. That's it. Yeah, just have fun and enjoy it, right? Like, as long as you're having fun, it don't matter. Like, and I always feel like, even when there's incidents in these games, like, when you're on a league and you get to know people, I don't believe any driver anywhere and any of my guys would ever go out their way to deliberately mess up somebody else's racing. But what people also need to understand, and I think this is the biggest thing in the league industry, is you can make a mistake, but it doesn't mean that you're at fault as such. In the terms of, it was a mistake. Yes, you might get a penalty, but just because you made that mistake doesn't mean you're a bad driver. Every driver will make mistakes. We've seen Lewis Hamilton make mistakes over the years. We've seen Fernando Alonso's. We've seen plenty from Michael Schumacher. So nobody's immune from errors. Some have a lot more errors than others, myself included, but we'll gloss over that one. So Shiv in no rush. Let's have a look at the tyres at the back. So Dixie and Beyond chose the medium compound tyre. That's interesting. So is this a tactic here from Shiv? He knows his tyres will switch on once he gets going, but the mediums will need a bit more work, so he's wanting to just hold the pack back. He doesn't want to give them a lot of time to really work the brakes, accelerate a pedal hard, heat up the rear tyres. Of course, if you're on no traction, you've got that big advantage. You can just spin up the rears, spike the temperature very quickly, and literally one aggressive wheel spin. But those on the medium traction, it's not so easy. They need to spend a lot more time weaving to generate heat. You see there, Shiv using it. He's just leaning on the second gear. I guess that's a good way to do it on the non-full. Just really wring the gear out. So the game takes over. Row 1 is Shiv and Rob. Row 2, Jock and Skarma. Row 3, Mick and Pedro. Row 4, Leon and Yeri. Row 5, Rodders and Keith. Row 6, Dixie and Mika. Row 7, Laverick and Dale. Row 8, Chubby and Matty. And at the back, we've got Brown Dog in the Haas on row 9. As he gets in P0's round 10 at France. We'll get set in France. Usually is a very entertaining Grand Prix, so I think we'll be set for some good stuff here. So Brown Dog gets set in, we see the little jink, and we will get lights at some point. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's lights out, and they're away, and we see it's quite an even start on the front row, but Jock there in P3 seemed to get a very good run. He's got the jump on Rob Will straight away. Can he tuck into the toe? He'll now go to the racing line. Can he go round the long way and shift into turn 1? He's going to give it a go. He'll hold the inside line for turn 2, and that is going to be a tremendous start there for Jock. He manages to get all the way from P3 to P1, and now Shiv's been put under pressure from Rob Wills as Mick and Skarma now go side by side down into turn 4. We'll filter back through, see what's going on there. We've got Yeri all over the inside at turn 4, and there's a little bit of contact between the Alpha Tauri boys there. Mika Lando into the back of Pedro and Yeri come together on the exit of that corner. We'll watch here, there's a little bit of lag, and I think Yeri's maybe got some desync here. I think Yeri is struggling with just a little bit of desync as the two Alpha Tauri boys go toe to toe. Mika Lando pulls to the inside line, he's using the energy. We'll stay on board with this fight and now watch the gaps further up though. Rob Wills and Pedro holding that higher line, defends very well there from his teammate Chris White, and he is not wanting to let that medium tyre go through. Yeah, Jock absolutely nailed it, and the thing is, he's bridging a bit of a gap as well. He's managing to pull himself away here, and I like to see a fellow Scotsman doing well. Sorry, but I'm a bit biased when it comes to that. So, Jock, drive away. What's happening further back though? Yeri, Dixie, Chubby Slug. What happened? How has Mato Man got the car to P8? Let's look at position changes here, because Mato Man has gained 7 positions off the start. He's went from P15 to P8. I missed the Alpha Romeo man coming through at all as Matty and Laverick seem to do battle out the last corner, but Laverick will get half to tuck in behind. In fact, Matty does get the better of that, so he's another man. Matty, the guy on the good form over the last few races, having to make recoveries in the race. And now it's just the time to settle, and Dixie will need to be careful because he's got Matty coming all over the back of him. He'll defend that inside line off and just make Matty's life a little bit harder, as we see Yeri really struggling with connection issues. And I don't know if this is what's making Adam be a bit hesitant on the move, and I think now he just needs to push and he needs to try and clear the car. But now he's got Matty trying to use that inside line. Madam will leave him the space, he'll know he's there, and he'll just squeeze it out, gets a good braking zone. And Yeri is becoming very difficult to understand exactly where this is going to go. And look at Michelando here, he's making gains on Chubby Slug, but lap 2, getting through 40% energy is not a good situation, because it's energy to get any overtakes done at France, especially if you're in that DRS train. You need the energy. And look at this top 4 fight. Shiv, Rob, Wills, Mick started to find their feet just a little bit in the race. Jock falling back into their clutches a little bit. DRS, of course, enabled this time around as well. So opportunities are going to start falling in this front pack. We are still in a DRS train from P1 to P9. So everybody is very much in this. Or P1 to P8, apologise. It's Mick sets the fastest lap. In fact, just about everybody that came through there set a fastest lap, I think. But Rob still leads the way into turn 1 as we see the cars filter through, and that notification to say that DRS is of course enabled. So will Shiv now going to push, and Jock spent a bit of the energy, he's tried to bridge that gap but just not been able to. So I think Jock probably here needs to let Shiv go, not fight this position too hard, and go on a bit of an energy recovery stint. So let him go through. And he's going to show there, he's not even going to defend that too hard. He can have the racing line. Jock wants back into that track position, and Leon Evans out. So we could have a safety car coming up early stages of the race. Leon Evans out in the exit at turn 5. It's Jock has a bit of a moment now, and Rob Wills will get the run. And if there's going to be a safety car, he needs to try and get through now, and he does. So Rob Wills through now up into P2, and Leon Evans out. I'm amazed that's not going to trigger a safety car there. Where is he exactly on the track? We'll see here, maybe he's off far enough away. The car is cleared, we're back to green flag racing, so no yellow flag at all. And Shiv trying to make some gains at the front. And we've got Chubby Slug now gaining on Scum. Pedro, Michelando still in this fight as well. And we've got Matty. Matty's managed to get through. Dixie and Matty actually both got through on Yeri. And now Matty putting big pressure on Keith, and Keith in a bit of a situation when it comes to energy. So Matty goes through on Keith. Is Dixie going to try and go with Matty? That is the question. Further up ahead, I'll be seeing any moves. Nothing as yet. Jock's been able to defend that one off, and this is where it becomes a bit of a stalemate. The DRS train. Shiv having to use a bit of energy, but you see Rob's a wily old fox, and he doesn't really attack overly hard. He's a long game man. He certainly does not get flustered under the cosh, as we see Chubby Slug now actually go through and Skarma further back in the 2 Alpha Tauri boys go side by side. So Pedro again tries to defend off from Michelando, but he can't. He's soft tyre. He tucks back in behind though. I think he'll look to just continue on here. And Matty now in a bit of a hard spot because he's got no DRS. He's got a 3.2 second gap, and trust me when I say it is very hard to gain back onto that DRS fight, as we see some tremendous racing through the long turn 11, then into 12, and Chris White, that was smart what he did there. He just quite couldn't quite get the nose of the car to switch on, but he baited Scarman into a late braking there and pushed, essentially pulled him wide on the higher line. Mika then tried to go for that cutback, but it just didn't quite come. The front of the car just understeering a bit away from him. As we see our leaders now go side by side, and Rob Wills will go through into the lead of the race. He's in the lead of the championship and now takes control of round 10 at France. But Shiv, I think we'll be quite happy to just hang on here for now. So what's happening further back? Do we have any gaps? Laverick getting close to Dixie, so this could be an overtake because Dixie's stuck behind Keith for now. Although I think we'll see Dixie go on the push here. And he's got to be careful because Laverick's right in this as well, and we'll see here. So Dixie will get the run. He's just gone for a Laverick. Laverick tries inside line. So Dixie is ahead. He's got the right to defend. Chooses not to. Laverick's just going to sit in behind. And now they've lost a chunk of time though to Matty. 2.5 seconds of gap. And this is where it becomes quite tricky. And now Chubby Slug through 11 gets through on Jock's turn. Sorry, turn 10. No, yes, turn 10. And do not count Chubby Slug out of this. He's making big gains on the medium tyre. Leon Evans leaves the session for now, as Mick and Shiv both dive to the pits. So what's the tyres going to be here? I'm interested to see exactly what they go. The medium to soft is the way, or soft to medium. The medium tyre will do the laps you're asking here, but not from this early. So this could be a 2-stop for these guys. And they fall quite a bit down the order. They're going to come out P11, 12, 13, 14, so only a couple of cars behind them. So they are now at the back of the grid. And it's championship leader against who once was the championship leader coming up. And Rob Wills giving Matman absolutely nothing. He's staying well out the way of the tow. Somebody's had a moment coming out the pits. Mick, no. I think he maybe spinned on the turn 2 curb. And that's an unfortunate one there for Mick. So Dixie gaining on Laverick. Not close enough, I don't think. And what's happening further up ahead? Mika has got through and Skarma eventually. So Mika now up to P3. Skarma's picked up his first time penalty of the race. And there's only now a couple of fights going on. Of course, the pit stops have started to happen, so you always get this kind of break up in the middle of the track. So what's happening there? So Pedro and Rob Wills into the pit. So they'll be going for 20 laps on the medium. Matty now up into P4 in the race. And now these guys on the long game, they really need to make their strategy work. They're probably still good for another 10 or 12 laps on the medium tyre. But I tell you, going at lap 6 is very, very early to take the mediums to the end. So if guys want to try and make that medium work all the way to the end, they could be in puncture territory come the end of the race. So that's going to be one to watch. Dixie making gains on Laverick, but I don't think he's going to get close enough. So is he going to push? He's going to get close enough here. Is Shiv, or with what we missed here, Shiv and Dale Hunter are going side by side through turns 8 and 9. Shiv gets through. That's him trying not to lose any time to Rob Wills, who's our net race leader at the moment. Of course, the lead man after the pit stops. But they're both very, very low. Evening Leon. What happened, mate? Did you just have a moment? on the exit of turn 4. It is a tricky little corner on the traction. The rear of the car gets very, very light. Good qualifying today though, Leon. You were looking competitive. That moment happens and these things happen, but in terms of a solid pace, you look good today. It's a shame. You'd much rather in that situation somebody takes you right than you have a little moment and end up in the wall. Ah, unfortunate, man. So I think Dixie went through on Laverick into turn 1, but Laverick's just going to come back through here. And here he comes. Down the inside. Oh, and Dixie needs to get over the road a little bit there. Bit of squeeze getting on. But that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So let's go to Yerry Keith fight. Let's give these guys a little bit of let's go to Rodders. That's just because he's at the back, had a moment and had to take that early pit stop. Let's give Rodders some time. Because just because he's at the back doesn't mean he's not worthy. And Yerry is out now. Safety car could be about to be upon us. Safety car out. Safety car, wow, wow. So tricky decisions ahead. Very, very tricky decisions ahead. Do the guys choose to pit? Now, big advantage just been handed to the guys that have pit already for the medium compound tyre, so the likes of Rob, etc. They just get a fat win. But where they go from here, the guys on the medium, is a very interesting call. Personally, I mean, I'd probably go in and put a soft on, do a lap, and then go back onto the medium tyre. But what they do from here is a very interesting call. Rodders chose to continue, he just wants to get on the back of the pack, so when Rodders goes round, he will be able to overtake that safety car, find himself some track time. And what is Chubby Slug going to do? So Chev picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings there, as we see the guys firing now into the pits. And what do we think the guys do now? Because it's a tricky one. Rob Wilson, do they take a risk? They're going to continue on, and Brown Dog will go into the pits. Chev continues on. And I'm intrigued to see exactly what people choose to do here. It's a tough old call. But an interesting call. Because you really want to be on that medium compound tyre. The medium tyre will go to the end now. 100%. And Matty has chose to go to a fresh medium, so he's going to have to box again. Skarma P8 as well, and it's sort of tough choice. The soft's just not going to do. It's not going to do any more than 10 laps. So I am very intrigued now at what happens for these guys. But safety car out, everybody took their pit stop. We'll get Rob Wills P1, Chubby Slug P2, two championship protagonists up there. Then Shiv and Mika on the way to put Mate into the championship protagonist fight, but of course Chubby Slug's kind of against him because he's on that soft compound tyre. Then we get Jock P6, Dale P7, Skarma P8, he's another one on the soft compound tyre, Pedro P9, Laverick 10, Dixie 11, Keith 12, Brown 13, Mick 14 and Rodders P15. And what is going on here? We got a little bit slow through turn 11. So any of our soft guys going in, Chubby Slug choosing not to. Dixie's going in, Skarma choosing not to, so Dixie's going to go to a new medium compound tyre here. Will get another lap, so he will be on the back of the pack, so he will give up a little bit of track time. He was P11, he'll fall to the back. But Dixie's tyres guaranteed without stopping to finish the race. Dale's won't. Keith, Pedro, Jock, Rob, they are going to be very touch and go getting these tyres to the end of the race. So just because Dixie's took that pit stop there, I think that is a very clever strategy goal, and I think he just got that position there. Rodders maybe getting told to give it up. Oh, he's not. So just at the line, it was very, very close. And that is a tough one to call. So Dixie goes to the back, but one of the only drivers on the grid that will go to the end safely. Mika and Mate, yes, could go to the end, but they must pit because they've not used the soft compound tyre, or they've not used 2 compounds of tyre. So a lot of variables left in this race. So bear with me, chat. I'm going to grab the restroom. So I'm assuming safety car in this lap. Yes, it is, because Rob Wills let it scamper away up the road. So he becomes the pace setter. The biggest thing in setting the pace is to not differ from that pace too massively. So once you kind of start to control the pack, you try and control them at the same speed, all the way until you decide to floor it, because the concertina effect can be very dangerous. But Rob taking it nice and steady at the moment, and we will see exactly when he chooses to release the pack. Safety car is well and truly clear now, so it's totally on Rob. Is he going to choose to go late, or is he going to go nice and early here off this last corner? And he is not going yet, so I think people thought he would go out the last corner, and that's not been the case. So Rob going to leave it nice and late here, and he's gone now, and that's a very, very clever restart there from Rob. He's caught Chubby Slug napping, and let's go further down the grid. Are we going to see him? The Mika Lando here making big gains on Shiv. I don't think he's going to get close enough into turn 1. Mate gains a lot onto the back as Chubby Slug picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings onto the back of Mika Lando, and further back in the order. I don't think there's much, it's just status quo, everybody filtering through. Yes, it is. So Rob Wills leads the way. Chubby Slug in P2, he's on that soft compound tyre, so he needs to make that work nice and early. Rob Wills got a good break, but Rob Wills could use Matoman massively to his advantage here. He needs to try and go with him and then hang on to his DRS, because if he can go with the soft compound tyre, he's going to be very quick. But Rob Wills is going to defend that off. Oh, there's big contact there. Matoman, I think, try to maybe squeeze a position that wasn't quite going to be there, but Rob Wills is not over without a fight yet, and I don't know if Matoman's chose not to fight that too much. He's happy just to swap back in behind and accept maybe just a bit over aggressive there. it was his moment that pushed Rob very wide and in the end secured the position. So I think Matoman done the sportsmanship thing there. He knows that the soft tyre's going to be there, and he makes now a lunge on Rob, and there's a bit of contact there, and that's just front wheel to rear wheel contact. Matoman just needs to keep his head though, not get himself caught up in a fight too much, just settle down. It's a long race, you can still do a good amount of laps on the soft compound tyre if you're going to try and make them work, so do not get stressed under the situation. But look at this, Matty and Shiv, Jock, they're all having a bit of tussle. Matty trying to get through, he's now back up into P4 on the grid. Mick further back, is he making gains on Pedro as we've got Chubby Slug now, look at this, going down the outside, can he make the move on Dale as well, and I think that's going to be a very good overtake. He does, he gets the two of them on the main straight. Dixie now up to P11, and him making that fresh compound work very, very well. He needs to get that gap back though to try and stay in the DRS fight as Jock and Skarma go side by side, Skarma on that inside line, and I think he'll have the superior tyre grip to push through there. And through he goes, and now Jock might come under a bit of pressure from Laverick, but further up ahead, Chubby Slug trying to make some gains in Rob Wills, he's not quite able to there. Dale Sunter picking up a time penalty for multiple warnings. What's happening further down? Mick making any gains? No, we don't, and we have Matoman and Rob Wills going side by side at turn 10. Matoman will go through though, and this is where the soft tyre will really shine through in this sector. I think this is why Matoman tried to get through in sector 3 the last time. The soft tyre yields most of its performance gain in the last sector, and you see just how much Matoman, Rob Will can hold him off in the straights, but then he'll scamper away here. You see that gap already up to nearly 8/10 of a second. I think it might even be over 8/10 by time up on the exit. In fact, he's almost broke the DRS, and Matty is not over with this one. Of course, Matty and Chubby Slug, two championship protagonists, but they need to pit again. And Matty gets through Mika Lando. Mika Lando having to take a very shallow lane through too. And Shiv now all over the back of Mika, showing him that he's there on the inside door, but not going to get through as Mika Lando picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings. So, DRS enabled this lap, and I think we're going to see Shiv go through it and Mika. Yes, we will, but we will we see any more games, because here comes Skarma, and Skarma's going to slip it down the inside as well here, and through he goes. Mika being very fair that he was aware that Skarma was coming on that fresh compound tyre and never really put up too much of a defence, and he could have shut the door off as well, but he chose not to. He knows that Skarma's not going to make it to the end, of course, so maybe his intentions are to just go with the soft compound tyre. Pedro now making gains in Laverick. Adam just kind of stalled a bit in P11. He can't quite make the gains onto the back of Mick that he'd be looking. The gap was 1.2 once he cleared those drivers. Out now to 1.4, but he's got a newer tyre than most guys. In fact, every guy, he has the newest tyres on the grid. And they will go to the end of the race, so let's see how it plays out for Adam, because there is a few drivers that are going to have to pit. Chubby Slug now setting the fastest lap of the race. He's got that gap out front to 2 seconds. But Matty making gains on Rob Wills. He's in that DRS zone. And Rob Wills way down on the energy. And our three championship protagonists now, P1, P2 and P3. It's a little bit of a jackpot scenario for the eagle-eyed viewers. And could we see it spill over into some drama? The guys don't like it, but I like the drama. But here comes Matty. And Rob Will's not going to put up too much of defence here. Through he goes. Quite a simple DRS pass on the run up to turn 8. But the queue behind Shiv's an interesting one, because here comes Skarma. He's going to go for another move on the brakes into turn 8, and through he goes. But Shiv's going to focus on the exit. He tucks back in behind, but they just don't have the energy to make any gains now. Absolutely spent. Pedro and Mick doing a good job at the moment. Adam now getting himself into this queue of traffic, and this is now the fight for P4 that he's getting himself involved with. No, Liam, it doesn't stop. This is why France good though, because the DRS is that powerful that it kind of neutralises any advantages, unless you have a big compound difference like Mate and Matoman. Although Mate making gains on Matoman up front, so that's an interesting one to keep an eye on as he sets the fastest lap of the race as well. So Mate on the push, but Rob Wells hanging on to the back of him. And of course Mate, Skarma, Chubby Slug, and there was somebody else that didn't pit. They're going to, I think Mika Lando, in fact they did pit, but they went to a second medium compound tyre, so they will need to pit before the end of the race. So that's something guys round about them racing need to bear in mind as well. You do not want to get your race compromised by a driver that's going to take another pit stop. If you're going to the end, you want to be clearing that driver ASAP, because the DRS is so critical here that you do not want to fall out it. And now Adam is in that DRS fight. And Laverick keeping himself in the battle as well. Jock, although maybe fell down the order a bit, he's keeping himself in a fixed position, and from P4 downwards it's really anybody's, honestly. They're all that competitive here that one mistake I think it's going to pay dividends. And Mick now all over the back of Pedro here. Will he go for the run through 13? He will go on the inside. He'll pick up a time penalty for that though, but he makes Pedro go a little bit wide. Pedro defend that inside line and through Mick goes. And now Dixie getting the run a little bit on Pedro as well, and it's going to be a drag race now down to turn 1. Pedro squeezed out a little bit there. Dixie now up inside the top 10. But I think we could see Shiv make moves on Skalma any minute. It was go down to already just 10 laps to go. It's been quite a quick race this evening for sure. So any overtakes inbound, Shiv is coming on Skarman. I think this is going to be the move. Is Skarman about to get a move up the inside into turn 8? He's done it to a few this evening, but Skarma says, hey, I am the man of the inside the 8 and I'm going to try and defend the outside line, but Shiv gets the squeeze on and manages to defend that off, and now Mika Lando gets the run off at turn 9. And now it's a drag race up to turn 10. Skarma a little bit in the toe, but now the toe goes to Mika, and they'll go side by side through 10. And I think Skarma just got out that there. He wanted to be safer than sorry. And now Jock gets all the way onto the back of him. Laverick and Mick coming to get involved in this one as well. And Dixie is right in this battle too. So this battle for P4 is well and truly on. We've got a couple of drivers in that fight that need to box. And we've got Matty that's going to fall into this fight on a fresher compound tyre at some point near the end of this race. If Matty wants to make the medium tyre, if he needs to go to a soft though, you want to give the soft tyre plenty of time to do damage. That's something they need to think about. Yes, waiting on a safety car is good, but it's only good if it comes to you. If it doesn't come to you, you could be in big trouble. And Chubby Slug now onto the medium compound tyre. That's a strange move for Matoman. I thought he'd went to the soft to the end. And there's going to be some guys on the grid starting to feel the tyres now. Jock's going to be right on up on the end of his grip zone. So let's watch as Laverick starts to get a run. I think Jock fell out the DRS as well. He has. So Laverick, if he gets on the energy, could make some gains here on Jock, and he is. Look at this, look at the overspeed Laverick's getting, and this is going to be a move down the inside into turn 8. Oh, he goes late in the brakes. Laverick does go for it. Jock leaves space. Now he'll get the outside line for turn 9, and he gets the move done in the exit, and Mick gets through as well. Mick somewhere in that melee. Jock has somehow lost out 2 positions. Laverick and Mick now up to P5 and P6. And Dixie had a moment. What happened to Dixie? He was right on this fight. So that's an interesting one there as Pedro nearly drops the rear end of the car. Now Mick and Laverick doing a bit of battle as Mika and Shiv are going toe to toe. And Shiv, is that a move to the pit lane? Yes, it is. Shiv getting into the pit, so he wants to get onto that soft compound tyre to let the soft compound tyre do the work. That's a fair move there from Shiv. Will we see a leader come in? Is he going to try and make this tyre last to the end? That is the interesting question. Chubby Slug sets the fastest lap of the race, but he's got a lot of time to make up on the drivers. So he goes on the inside on Keith. Keith's still having a good showing of himself. He's up there in P9 inside the top 10. Jock picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings. Let's have a look at the penalties. 6 and 3s all ahead of Adam. Chubby Slug on 6, and then Skarma, Rodders, Shiv, Dale on 3 and Brown Dog on 6. So they could be detrimental to the end of the race as well. Laverick all over the back of Mick. Could this be an overtake brewing? In fact, this is a bit of a 4-car battle here. Mick, Laverick, Jock and Pedro, they're all right in about this. I just have a feeling guys like Jock and Pedro, Mick and Rob are going to have to get off that tyre. Are we going to see a raft of pit stops come up? That is the question. 8 laps to go. And there we go. Who's that getting into the pits? Mika Lando now. So he's getting off his medium compound tyre. He's going to go to the softs. That'll be his last stint to the end. We've also got Jock going into the pits off that medium compound tyre also. So this is where I say is the dynamic of the race is not over. These guys, the safety car came at a really hard time for some strategies, and we're starting to see these strategies go against them now as they filter out for that 2-stop. With only 7 laps to go to try and make gains, and a lot of guys still in a DRS train. It's just going to be a tough old road for them. But Pedro now up to P4, but I think we're still going to see a couple other guys box here. And is Laverick going to make the overtake on Mick? He cannot this time around. Let's see Matty and Chubby Slug. And look at this. This is an interesting little battle coming up here. Is Matoman going to try and fight this out? And yes, he is. He's going to hold it on the outside. Matty will get the inside line, and they'll go side by side all the way through 8 and 9. And Matty eventually gets ahead on the superior grip. Chubby Slug has to slot in behind, but Matty has no energy. Is Matoman going to come through here? This is a big fight between these two. Matoman goes back to the inside line. They'll go side by side through 11. Mataman on the inside line, but there's contact, and Mataman's trying hard to hold the car, but he's went round, and there's contact at the apex of 11, and Matty and Mataman make contact, the 2 championship protagonists, and that could be detrimental to the championship as Chubby Slug falls down a couple of positions and now falls into a fight with more fresh compound tyres. Rob Wills into the pits. Now, how the race has changed as Matty sets the fastest lap of the race. We've got Mick P1, Laverick P2, Pedro in P3, but Dixie at the moment is our net race leader. He made the strategy call to do the double stop under safety car to get rid of the mandatory tyre stop, or the mandatory tyre choice. That allowed him then to get back onto the medium tyre, which would carry him all the way to the end of the race, and this is turning out to be an absolute splendid drive from Adam. Yes, he's going to be caught by Matty, but I think that could be one of the only biggest threats to his position, possibly even Rob. But if he just lets Matty go and then tries to stay with the soft compound tyre, it could be huge for Adam come the end of this race. And further back, while I'm talking absolute garbage, and Raven, Shiv and Skarma try to make a inside to outside move at turn 8 and 9. That would have been a really, really good effort. And Mika coming to get involved in that as well. Of course, he's got a lovely, fresh, soft compound tyre. And who's that going very wide? Mika Lando, but look at the slingshot he'll get on the exit, and look at this, he'll come to the inside for 10, and wow, Chris White showing a very unorthodox way through turn 11, but the run he gets on Skarma on the exit to make that inside pass at 12 was absolutely tremendous. Chubby Slug now not over by this one as well. Of course, he's on that medium compound tyre, so he's not quite got the grip that he'll be looking for, but they're very much in the DRS. He's got far superior energy than the others as Laverick goes to the pits and Pedro picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings. So it's Mick from Pedro, Dixie 3, Matty 4, Rob Wills 5, Shiv 6, Mika 7, Skarma 8, Chubby Slug 9, Jock 10, Laverick 11, Rodders 12, Dale 13, Keith 14 and Brown Dog and P 15. 5 laps to go. And Dixie now has made Matty use all of his energy. So Matty now has no energy. Dixie can stay here. And he swallowed himself a very, very good result. Rob Wills, though, our championship leader, making gains, and this is is Adam going to fight his teammate? It's the championship leader. His main championship rivals just got through on him. So, does Adam try and stay there as Pedro goes to the pits? So he has had enough of the medium cockpit, and is Mick going to try and make this medium tyre go the distance? Because he has shown absolutely no intentions of taking the pit stop at the moment. Gap to Matty is 5.2 seconds. Rob Wills now setting the fastest lap of the race. And what's happening further back? What's going on? That's just Pedro coming out the pits. So can Mick make the tyres go the distance? I think he should be okay. He may just make this work. Can he hold the tyre out for another 4 laps to maintain the gap? It would be a big, big ask. It's Mika and Shiv getting very close to each other, and Jock and Skarma doing battle. Jock getting through on Skarma. Skarma having to tuck in behind. But let's see what happens here between the Ferrari boys. If Dixie's smart here, he'll let Rob go in the DRS zone down into turn 1 and then go with him on the second straight. The team can work together here a little bit, you know. He lets him go and not cost him any time, and then Rob helps Adam out by pulling him along, and then they look at the team picture. They're leading the constructors. Right at the moment they're going to do some real points gains in that as well. So Dixie just missed his exit a little bit, and I think this is showing intent. He's staying left here, so he's telling Rob to go, and then he gives him the position there, so through he goes. Dixie not putting up much of a fight to his teammate. You don't expect him to either. I think some casual team orders there, if you want to call it team orders. I don't even think it's that. I think Adam looks at the bigger picture. He will see that Rob's in the fight, he is not, and he could certainly use the DRS as a little bit of defence mechanism. I think we're going to see Shiv and Mika do a bit of battle, and this could become frustrating for these guys because Dixie's catchable for them on that tyre, but the more they fight, the longer the laps go, the less chance they have, of course, from having penalties is in the end a hurtful one. But here comes Shiv against Mika, again another move down the inside into turn 8. Mika not going to put up too much of a fight there, but he may go for the exit off the turn 9 as he picks up another time penalty for multiple warnings, as does Jock further back. And this is the biggest kind of car battle on track at the moment, so we'll stay with that as we see Mika jump to the inside but gets out it there against Shiv for turn 11. And I think that was just a bit of wise driving there from Chris. Pedro on the back of Laverick, and maybe another little fight going on here. Pedro trying to make some gains. He's on that fresh soft compound tyre. But Laverick, is he in the DRS? He is not. So Pedro may be able to get through here. Can he slingshot ahead enough to snatch Skarma's DRS as well? Through in the inside into turn 1 he goes. Squeezing, but fairly. Now he needs to try and get time, and he is gaining and gaining and gaining. He's almost going to be there. Is he going to get close enough on Skarma to get into that DRS? And I think he will just pick up that detection zone. It's 9.5 tenths. Has he managed to get it? And I think he will. He's 7 tenths now, and he will pick up the detection, so that will give him the defence he needs from Laverick. Of course, he's on that soft compound tyre. As Mika now goes back through and Shiv up into turn 8, and Chubby Slug making a big gain in the braking zone. He's coming to try and get involved in this fight as well. He needs to wrestle every position and point he can at this moment, because the championship is starting to slip away from Matoman. But he will not give up without a fight. So here we go. They're going to go 3 wide into 10. Shiv and Chris White go side by side, and Chubby Slug gets the long route round Shiv. He'll now go to the inside, and Chris White for turn 11. He knew he'll be very aware not to get any inside wheel contact at that corner after what happened earlier on in the race. But Michelando managed to defend it off. Mataman though trying to go round the long way at turn 12 through the kink of 13 now, and Chris White will hold the inside line as they come to 14 and 15. We'll watch from the broadcast shoe. Mataman tries to go round the long way at 14. That'll give him the inside for 15 and should give him the launch off the hairpin. Now Shiv and Chris White side by side. These both guys love DRS, so it's a bit of a drag race between these two. Oh no, Chris White doesn't, because he was the lead car, so he's going to lose out 2 positions, Chris White, in 1 corner. Or 2 corners, I do apologise. Somebody's getting a blue flag in there. I'm not quite sure who that is. It could be Rodders further ahead. And now Chubby Slug through, gap to Adam 3.3. It's been a good little race, Mr. SPW. It's been a good little race for sure. And Adam 6 laps ago, 8 laps ago, how long? Oh no, I take that back. 15 laps ago was at the back of the grid, so he's made some good gains. So any overtake inbound, Shiv trying to make gains in Chubby Slug, but he cannot this time around, as Mick now leads the way. The gap is 2.8 seconds, and I think his medium tyres is going to get the job done, but the penalty is going to just lose him out in that position. If Rob Wills can find a bit of time, he may be able to get inside Mick's penalty as well. But I think Mick's going to make a good strategy work to the podium here, making the medium do that distance he needed it to do. As he goes on to the last lap, but that there looked like a very, very tired medium compound tyre. So on to the last lap we go. How close is Mick to a puncture? And Rob Wills in the DRS of his championship rival for the last lap of the race. This is on. Are we about to see some fireworks? This is the last opportunity under DRS for Rob Wills to make any gains. So here we go. We go on the run out of 7. He gets on the energy. The DRS will open. The car will start to gain. Is he going to gain enough up into turn 8? He is gaining, but I don't think he's going to be close enough into the braking zone here. Not quite this time around. So Rob Wills will take the shallow line. He'll close up in tight behind, and look at this. He has got very close to Matty here. He'll tuck into the toe and he'll go to the inside, but he needs that toe as they drag race up to turn 10. Mick out there ahead. He is going to, I think, win this race, bar no incidents in the last few corners. But the fight for P2 is the big one, and this of course is for championship position. Matty trying to make gains on Rob. If Rob can get the position, it's enough for him to make a gain on Matty. There's only 3 corners to go, so time's running out for Rob. He comes through the long run of 13 into 14 they go, as Rob Bell's going to go for a big move on the inside at 15, and here we go. He goes to the inside line. Matty tries to defend it off. Rob Bell leaves the space, and Matty's going to get the run on the exit. DRS open as Rob Bell's got enough pace. Mick wins the race, but Matty will come home in P2. Rob Bell's P3. Chubby Slug gets through, and Dixie in the end to come home in P4, but Adam will make a splendid drive work and get that position back in penalties. Through he'll come for a P4, Shiv P5, Matoman falls to 6, Mika P7, Pedro P8, Laverick P9, Skarma P10, Jock 11, Keith will come home in P12. He may find some time in penalties. I don't know if Andy's got that much. Dale P13, Rodders 14 and Brown Dog P15. What a race, and look at that, Matty and Rob Wills, they miss out on Mick by under 1/10 of a second, and Rob Wills under 3/10 of a second. That was an absolute nail-biting finish. What a race, what a race. And Matty gets the driver of the day. What an effort, Rob. Wow. That was tremendous. I give you an applaud from the comms box. It was very good stuff. So let's get Mick and Matty and Rob in for a little chitty chat. But you made it work, Adam. You owe me. So where is Rob? Do I have Rob? Where are you at, Mr. Rob? Apparently I have no friends on my OTL list. That is a lie. Yes, Cameron's that. I'm sorry, Jock. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jim, it was a cracker. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. So Mick joins us, our race winner. We'll just start with yourself, Mick, while the other guys come in. Can you hear me, Mick? Yeah? Are you here? Hello, Mick? I think you might be muted, sir. Mr. Mick? Mr. Espanol?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Chris. How you doing, mate?
There we go. So, Mick, that was tense. It was a big ask on the strategy, what you done there. A very, very big ask. First question I want to know is where were those medium compound tyres?
No, they weren't that bad because secretly, as you see, I spun when I pit with Chiv, and then I think maybe 3 laps later the safety car come out, so I dipped in when the safety car come out and got a fresh set of mediums.
Ah, so you were kind of with the same with Adam then?
47, yeah. I think Adam pit, I think maybe 2 laps after me. I think I was 55% there at the end.
Oh, so not too bad in the end, but the soft
okay.
tyres were coming hard at you in the last 7 laps.
Yeah, with 3 laps left, I was just hoping and praying that Rob caught Matty and them two battled it out a bit, and they did it just right to the end.
Yeah, of course. I think that has probably been what... And I don't know if Rob's looked at it like that, if he's looked at it to try and get Matty purely on track position, or if he's used the wily old fox in his head and say, if I can keep Matty just in a bit of a fight, even if I don't get the position, if I can keep him away from the win, it's still a loss of points, because at that moment, Matty looked like he was going to catch you.
Well, I didn't think of it like that, but if that was, I ain't complaining. I'm not complaining one little bit. That's my first ever win in the league race, so yeah, I'm a bit chuffed at the minute. So yeah, my first ever win, mate, yeah.
Oh wow, congratulations.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
I'm quite glad that I broke your win virginity. I'm glad I was the man commentating on it, mate.
I was sweating them last couple of laps, but yeah, great racing, everyone.
Yeah, and it was a very mature drive, Mick. France is not an easy track when you're not in a DRS group, and you spent a big chunk of that race just having to pump in your own laps in the end. The guys in the DRS track,
clean.
Yeah. And you did that very, very well. You showed some very, very strong pace being in just that kind of pocket of track on your own. It's not easy to go hard when there's nobody to race.
Yeah, well, look, you know what, Chris, as well, I can admit it now as well. You can take 10% of this victory as well, because I was struggling yesterday and the day before with my setup. So this morning, I've tried yours off the TT, and that's the setup I used for that race.
It's
I know you're good around France as well.
Yeah, well, setups are a thing I spend a lot of time on, because I struggle myself with stability. So I always try and base my cars on the most stable, although it probably doesn't show that very much when I race. But the credit goes on you. The setup is only part of the work. You still need to drive the car to the finish, so that is very much on you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers, Chris.
So very good effort, and I hope you enjoy that one, Mick, because it was a very, very good drive.
Yeah, I will do, mate. Thanks a lot.
It's a good job,
Well done,
Mick.
mate.
Cheers,
Matty,
lads.
P2, by the smallest of margins. The tiniest of tiniest, half a tenth in it in the end. You were that close to the penalty gap. Strategy, it just came at a bad time, right? The safety car, it kind of put people onto a tough choice, and of course made you have to take that secondary stop. Were you always planning on a 2-stop?
No, we're going to do medium hard to begin with.
Right?
I think the mistake came when Mattelman pitted, when he was on softs and he went to mediums. I thought he'd gone onto the soft tyre. So I decided to pit to cover it because I knew he'd gain a lot of time on me. But then when I pitted, then I realised he were on medium and I didn't actually need to pit.
So that's unfortunate a little bit.
At the end, when the tyres were on 70%, I mean, it might look like I was trying to ward Robert, but physically the car won't slow down into corners. It was just awful.
Oh, I thought it was some very entertaining race. I didn't see anything wrong with what happened there. It was some good entertaining stuff in the closing few laps. I didn't realise your softs would be so dead either. 70%. That's puncture territory.
I mean, on that last corner, I don't know if you noticed, I mean, I thought Rob were going to go for the move, but if you look, the car didn't slow down and I went off track.
Yeah, because you went very wide at the hairpin.
And I was 1 warning away from a penalty, so I was thinking about that on the last couple of laps as well.
But still, Matty, you made it. You were one of the guys that made it quite entertaining. You know, you were kind of up there, and then pit stop put you back there, and you had to fight through. It was not maybe as simple as your last couple of wins, and of course you started in P16 as well. So I think that says enough for how well you drove today.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm gutted not to win, but I suppose as long as I'm finishing in front of Rob, I'm gaining somewhat.
Yeah, that's it. And from P16 to finish on the podium and be literally that close to the race win, you should be very, very proud of that.
Yeah, it opens your eyes when you start out back. There's lots of things you've got to avoid. Yes,
it's scary.
It really is. I mean, there was something that happened at turn 1 and I saw Mattelman just like steam past them all and I was thinking how lucky that was. I think someone spun in turn 1 and they held a few cars up. They had to like slam up brakes.
Yeah. But other than that, Matty, a very, very, very strong drive. You would have been, I always fling it out there for P0, you would have been my driver of the day today. It was a very, very good one. And you drove the car hard to get that position, and you were that close to the win, so very good job. A very thoroughly deserved P2, and keeping up the good momentum, that's what matters.
Yeah, thanks mate, and obviously well done to Mick on his first win.
Cheers, mate.
Rob.
Good evening.
You wily old fox, you gave that a good old go in the end there, didn't you?
I really did. I really... I just didn't. I think I made the wrong strategy call. I boxed for softs because I thought everybody were coming really quickly at me, and then it probably turned out that I maybe could have pushed them mediums to the end.
Yeah.
But I kind of covered off everybody else, thinking if there's a late safety car, I'm then going to be too far behind or on the wrong tyre. So I just thought I need to try and cover off everybody, kind of neglecting the fact that people might be doing what Mick did. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm behind Pedro, I'm behind Laverick, I'm behind Mick, behind Matty. This has not gone well.
Yeah, because the safety car for me, it flipped the full race in its head. It put pretty much the lead pack at the back and the back pack at that time at the front. And it just it opened the whole race up.
Yeah, it really did. So I think in my head I was always going to do a 2-stop because I just don't like the tyre wear on that track. I mean, 50-60% and they're nearly undrivable.
Wow.
But at the end, Matt's cleared it up. He said he didn't do it, but I thought he was playing a very smart game. As we got into sector 3, he slowed down quite a lot for one corner. He would then have been about 2.7 behind Mick, and I'd have been 3.3. So I thought, has he just tried to play the game and bridge the gap and cover himself but get me? which was actually a smart move.
Oh, so you were thinking he was trying to put
he said
a
he
car
didn't because his
between
tyres.
yous.
Yeah, he said his tyres were 70%, so fair enough. But I thought, ooh, that's a smart move. But then I got a better run out the last two, and I thought, it's a final corner, I've got to do something. I either make the move and I get second, or the move slows us both down enough that we both end up second and third regardless. Even if I don't pass him, either way, I either gain a position or Matty loses one. So it was a damn dead last ditch move. If it sticks, fine. If it doesn't, I don't lose that much.
And this is one of the things that's really interesting me with P0. You don't see this much in league racing, but you guys think a bit outside the box when it comes to. You are very aware of the other thing. Like you said there, I called this on stream, or I said it earlier. Is Rob trying to work Matty in a way that even if he can't get him, he can still hold the gap distance, so that at best he's only going to be P2. And you just said that there yourself, so it's interesting to see that you're all kind of think in funny ways in P's, not in bad ways. You're very involved, and I think that's because you're so competitive. You're looking for such small gains and margins that you're looking for every opportunity you can to try and push a bit or pull a bit and pull another driver in, and that's what makes it exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought at one point me and Matty I was 2.7 behind Nick, so we were both in the 3 seconds. And so sector 3, we just ended up slowing down a lot, so it was kind of a case of, if I make a move, if it goes wrong, I still end up third.
Yeah.
If I slow Matty enough down, he ends up second, or if I don't, he wins, but he was going to win anyway, so I didn't really have anything to lose by trying to pass him at last corner. I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's never going to stick, because you're going in too quick, you're then going to brake and steer far too hard to have any traction and momentum coming out the corner, but it lost in 3/10.
Yeah, and that 3/10 was exactly what you needed to keep him in that P2 spot.
But it was a very good race at the end. I really enjoyed that. Well done, Mick. Really well done.
Yeah, cheers, Rob.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you are not ones for watching back through the races or ended it's watching it was racing and that is definitely one worth the watch. That was very, very entertaining. So, on that note, very well done to Mick in that first win. First ever league win, that's got to be stated. Well done to Matty in that P2, would have been my driver of the day. And a solid job to Rob in P3. Very, very good job today, gents. As they
Thank
said,
you very much.
They enjoyed being part of it.
Cheers,
I
lads.
enjoyed commentating on it. So that was P0 this fine Sunday evening. What an entertaining France race they just put on. And I am sure they will all be back next week to do it some more. We will see you then.